I
Yeah.
mean, it's the end of the world. Like, what did y'all expect? Like, it's the end. Like, it happens every 30 years.
Mm.
We go through revolutions. I study history. I study timelines and things like that. And a lot of what we're going through now is not any different than a lot of what we've been going through before. I just feel like, speaking as a astrologer, speaking as a spiritual person, knowing what age we're in and knowing that we are walking into the age of Aquarius, it's more than just the end. It's like really, really, really the end.
All right, what's up, y'all? I have a special guest with me today, Miss Sierra Waters. She is from, well, I won't say she's from, but she's in South Carolina. She
Yep.
is she's a psychic, which really intrigued me. Intuitive astrologer and an artist. Now, is that musical or do you draw?
I do. So what I like to say is I do dark arts, and
Okay.
that's arts of all kind in regarding my subconscious mind and my emotions. And so a lot of that manifests in things like paintings and things like my wands business that I created, that was purely driven out of my spiritual awakening. It's so a lot of what I do is inspired by a lot of my spiritual experiences and how I can convey that in art form. That's really my whole angle with everything. So whether that's tarot cards, whether that's me performing in that way, whether it's me doing my paintings, whether it's me cooking, those things are considered art forms to me that, that I reach into a subconscious place to deliver on the outside. So
Okay. So, so you expressing it in multiple ways then.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's kind of my life path to do so. And I'm sure we'll probably talk a little bit about that
Yeah,
with
definitely.
astrology and stuff like that. But yeah.
So you just finishing introducing you you offer spiritual services like readings, like you were talking about a little bit, birth chart interpretations, and these are all things I don't know about. So I'm definitely going to be asking for you
Okay.
to explain these things to me, um,
Yeah.
and decoding, and I guess that's birth chart decoding as well.
Hmm.
Um, so so you just a lot in the spiritual realm, it seems. Um, so the thing I wanted to ask was, all right, me not knowing much about everything you do, when I hear psychic, of course I'm thinking like, crystal ball, read the future type deal.
Hmm.
But can you explain kind of what it is though?
So I can't. Well, so what I can do is explain what it is my experience consists of, because everyone's experience is different, right?
Okay.
But I sort of always knew that I had a gift of perception, being able to kind of see and visualize things and then watch them come to pass. So that's something that I always kind of knew of, an ability that I had, things, something that I kind of felt like that I was born with, that I later then was able to kind of grow using other tools that focus around divination, like tarot and things like that. Um, dice throwing, bone casting. These are other forms of divination that help enhance your intuition, or that, things that you can use to help kind of navigate your way through those sorts of things. But for me, it always kind of felt natural. The tools and stuff like that, that kind of came later in the game. Like, so, but I believe personally that everyone has their own ability, whether it's intuition, whether it's psychic. Now, I consider myself more of a intuitive psychic. So for me, it is about uh the visualization, my mind's eye, the pictures that come into my mind through my third eye perception, that's always been active since I was a child. Always just been very creative. That's never really been something that's been suppressed. So I feel like because I've always had that, just artistic flair, it allowed me to easily go into those spaces. And anybody that, if you talk to people who are like musicians or anybody who like writes music, there's something, or even listening to music, there's something very intrinsic that happens with the spirit when you're in a vibe, right? So this is like what we call it, right? A vibe, a feeling. That frequency or that vibe, that vibration is the feeling that you can tap into to exercise your intuition, to exercise your psychic abilities. It's just that we're told that, those things are just, oh, it's just a vibe, or it's just, but it's like, no, you're really like, you're feeling something, you're tapping into something. So, I just never really been afraid of going through those doors and seeing what, where those kind of feelings take me. So,
Yeah, and that's it's funny you kind of phrase it like that, because I was going to ask, I would imagine that having the ability like that to kind of, you know, have these things come to you could send you to some dark spaces if you allow it.
mhm.
Is that like, have you experienced some of that, like in the?
So I can't necessarily say that I've been led to by dark things, um, where I didn't feel like God was always around me or covering me in those ways. Because a lot of what I do, or people in my field of what we do, healers and things like that, is our jobs really is to go into those dark spaces and illuminate those dark spaces with the truth. That's the only thing that really, you know, these dark entities can only lie to you. They can only create illusions. But when you walk into those dark spaces with the truth is the light, and that's what exposes these dark things. So I've always felt like my mission has always been to do that, to always confront those darker things. So did I ever feel led by darker entities? No. But have I been confronted by them? We get confronted by dark entities all day, every day.
Okay.
These aren't things that are so much outside of us, because the things that we deal with are, energetic principalities, things that are opposing us, our doubts, our fears. That's really what it stems from.
Mm.
So, you know I think Hollywood has a way of glamorizing certain things and making things spooky, which they can be spooky, certain going into the darker parts of who we are. But I mean, you want to heal or not, that's really what it's about.
Yeah.
That healing journey is about going in those dark, dirty places. So,
And like confronting it. So that's kind of how it starts. Okay.
that is how it starts. I feel like everybody who gets on this path usually hits some sort of rock bottom. There has to be some sort of something that rocks your foundation, that makes you search for more. Because I truly believe, and what I believe is, from the Most High. Is I try to be sure that I align myself, to what that means to me, right? And so for me, it's really about, making sure that, we are aligned with our destiny, walking with that. And you're going to get challenged. Challenges is just a part of what it's a part of Earth's obstacle course. It's just, that's what we deal with, these energies. So it's about being able to navigate your way through that, and being able to center yourself and finding who you are, and like what that means in the space you're in, because that's going to change for everybody in every space that they're in.
So is it kind of your I know you told me your mission is to go in the dark spaces and illuminate it.
Mhm.
Is that what you are doing for people? You kind of leading them in their spiritual path?
So a lot of what I do with my spiritual business, with tarot reading, a lot of people come already wondering, you know, trying to figure out certain truths in their life. And so I do believe that what I'm doing with my tarot business is that really um lifting the veil, being a vessel and a channel to be able to give that information to the people who may feel like they're overwhelmed or can't look and see for themselves. And I do understand the responsibility of the gift, that everybody isn't going to be able to tap into certain things. And so when you have a gift, you got to be able to share that. That's what these are my beliefs.
Okay.
And so I've been in a pretty good position to be able to help a lot of people uncover truths, break certain strongholds and things like that. And trust me, this is just, it's so not about me. So not about me. Because I know I'm talking about what I do with my business and what I is, especially in this business, it's very easy to fall into ego and to be perceived as doing the work. But trust me, this is all vessel. Like when I'm in the channel, it's really, I'm there as the vessel, but the spirit definitely takes over with a lot of the information that comes out of my mouth. Gotcha. A lot of the information. Yeah. So the tarot is one thing, I can read that, but the channel is another thing. And when I open myself up to, that dimension where I'm able to tap in with source and receive the messages, they come through my spirit guides the way that, the way that y'all see it on live. So
what's the channel? Like, I know you said you can do the tarot and put the channel. Like, what's the, like, kind of describe the channel? What's that?
So tarot is a tool. Tarot is divination. It's a tool that me as well as other people are able to use. You kind of read it. The tarot is the story of the fool's journey. So when you get into tarot, you start reading. The Fool is considered to be the major arcana of the tarot. So it's represented by the number 0, where 0 is, rebirth and newness and freshness. And so it's a journey that takes you around in a story. That's tarot. When I'm channeling, that's literally my guides speaking to me through my clairaudient sense. So that's one of the ways that I'm able to channel, is by hearing. So a lot of times when you see me and I am going live and I'm flipping the cards and I'm pausing, a lot of times I'm pausing because I'm listening. I have to listen. So it's like my mind's ear, if that makes any sense. Where it's almost like a radio station, or like if you have headphones on, it's like putting headphones on, you hear it, and then I can hear the message, and then it's usually how it works, my clairaudient sense. Or I can see things at times as well. So, but usually the channeling is usually what I'm hearing, what's coming down directly through source. So
my thing is, I know that I couldn't handle, what I'm saying, other people's, I guess, I don't know what to call it necessarily, but when you're trying to figure something out for other people, as far as like kind of leading them in a certain direction, when I think about my own brain, sometimes I have to just like, all right, push that over, because it starts getting too wild in my own head. So I couldn't imagine dealing with however many people you're dealing with, you know what I'm saying, reading and all of this. I couldn't.
It definitely was. I had to work my way up to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely had to work my way up to that. It wasn't like I just up and decided to cut the camera on one day and start going live. It definitely was not that. I've always had my ability to be able to read, but I never really understood why I was called to do it on the internet. It wasn't really a choice of mine. It was like God was like, no, you have to go and present what I gave you. Yeah. It kind of was like that. Man. And I had put everything else in front of it. I had done wands. I was selling crystals. I had an online store, which I still do now, but I take only just personal orders through DMs. But I was doing consultation services. I had, there was a local business here. I was, reading cards, face to face to face. It wasn't an online thing. It's something that I already kind of built up for myself. And it was presented to me, when God sits you down and makes it loud in your face for you to do something, you gonna do it or you gonna go against God. It kind of was like that. And the more I ran from it, the harder and harder it was for me to just be. It really was. I felt like I was not living in my alignment, which is what we were kind of talking about just a minute ago. So I had to really like kind of put my shyness aside, put all my self-limiting beliefs aside, and do what I was told. And so far so good. It's been a process, but definitely had to work my way up to that. It was not just like that.
It just, I mean, like I said, I've watched some of your YouTube and your lives and whatnot, and it looks exhausting just because you say a lot. You say a lot. I can see the process, and you say a lot, and it's fast, and you know what I'm saying. You got the cars, and like you said, you'll stop, and things will come to you, and I'm like, I couldn't handle the rush. It looks like a rush of thoughts and everything coming all at once. That's
what's so funny about that is that it is like that when I do collective readings, but I think where it's most like concentrated, at least for me as a reader, is when I'm going through all 12 signs and I truly feel each shift of each sign. Like each sign has a completely different radio frequency, if that makes sense. It's like literally turning the station on a radio, like like you're turning the radio station. It's literally like that. So it's literally, when I say I'm a vessel, it literally, I'm just being poured into the information. So luckily, you as you grow in the practice, you are divining for other people. Things like spiritual hygiene is a must. So I always make sure I'm cleansing, cleaning, getting rid of old energies, prepping the energies beforehand. You guys don't see a lot of that because it's a process. And a lot of that process is really where I'm going to be growing later in building my content and sharing with you guys. But I am a mother, right? So I have a 2-year-old and I have a 13-year-old that I'm looking after, and I have life to balance. And so it's just about being able to manage content and family and keeping that, that balance in check, And so I always make sure my kids are home is always first priority. I always made sure that was my first job, and then everybody else comes after. So, there'll be more coming soon. I'll be a little bit more candid with that. And I try to be more candid now, especially like while I am live, I try to say more and do more and show more, especially now that I'm posting more. So I really want to, just kind of give you guys a little bit of, just a little bit more information. And as we're growing the brand, we're getting to the point now where I am doing spiritual ASMR. So there will be like intuition tests that I'll be doing. So for like people who like maybe want to start growing their intuition, there'll be activities that, you can come on the page and click on the video and be able to test your intuition right with me, right on IG. So
okay. Yeah. So the brand is expanding then in that way.
Yeah, of course.
So what is your goal as far as your brand and your kind of just, I guess, what you're doing? Like, what's your goal in that?
My goal is to service as many people as I can. I don't have a particular, I do have like my own life goal in mind, but particularly for my spiritual brand, it's just purely about reach, purely about how many people can I deliver the truth to. That's always just been the mission. I have to be able to awaken minds that are not awake. Not awake.
Yeah.
And it's just, I just really feel like I've just been put here to do that. And no matter what the capacity, I just know that I'm on the ground and I'm running, and that's all I can see is just how many people want to come and share energy with me? How many people can I share my energy with?
Well, in that case, I have to ask, what is your like? What are your thoughts on basically the state of the world? Like, just kind of. I mean, it's so much I could dive into, but I guess
Right. I
yeah.
mean, it's the end of the world. Like, what did y'all expect? Like, it's the end. Like, it happens every 30 years. We
Mm,
go through revolutions. You know, I study history. I study timelines and things like that. And a lot of what we're going through now is not any different than a lot of what we've been going through before. I just feel like, speaking as a astrologer, speaking as a spiritual person, knowing what age we're in and knowing that we are walking into the age of Aquarius, it's more than just the end. It's like really, really, really the end. Like we're closing out, an age more so than just a time. So yeah, we're in the end times, but in my opinion, we're in the end. So like a lot of what's coming in is new, fresh energy, and a lot of what's crumbling away is old systems that are no longer going to serve us moving forward. I feel like, a lot of us it's easy to sit up and talk about how bad it is, but I like to be progressive. I like to talk about what we plan on doing moving forward. If it's not solution based, it's like, it I don't know, maybe because that's the Aries moon in me, because I am an Aries moon, I'm a Leo sun, Aries moon. But I don't know. I'm always about what's next. What can we do to make things better? How can we progress this? What's the solution? What can we get to? And I feel like the truth is it may sound corny and cliche, but like the truth will set us free for sure. Like we have to be able to like really stand in the face of the truth. And the truth is really what we are going to be able to identify within ourselves. Like
you
the
know,
sooner we can fix ourselves, the sooner we can fix the world. Like we got to get back to healing. It's too much outside of us, too much hate outside of us, too much us pushing outside of us to fix the problem, see the problem. Let's sit down with ourselves for a minute. Let's talk about our mommy issues. Let's talk about our daddy issues. Let's fix us. Let's sit down and let's do that. And then maybe we could save the world. Maybe we can start picking up and figuring out the state of the union. But it's like until we can get us right, we ain't gonna get there. So
yeah,
that's why I feel like we gotta go in head first.
and as far as like, like you said, it could sound cliche, but as far as the truth will set you free, my a lot of my views, or I guess I don't know, maybe not views, but like my opinions and things like that are based on I'm so like government focused. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, like I think about the news and things like that. I always think it's a smoke screen. That's my thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything, everything I see, I'm like, and I'm breaking it down in my head and everything like that. And the only way I think about it, I'm like, what could be useful, but also a bad thing is if everybody could read the minds of like the elite, because
Mm-hmm.
then we know their intentions and we could move based on that. But it could be bad too, because you might hear something or discover something that is just you just couldn't believe that's what it was. But that's
Yeah.
that's just how I think about it. I'm like, I don't think anything that I hear on it's hard to debate with me because I don't believe anything I hear on the news, on TV, anything somebody says. My first thought is like, I don't know, maybe,
That's good though.
but it makes it just makes it to where it's like I don't know, nothing I see feels real almost. Like
Mm-hmm.
it gets weird.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with questioning your perception of whatever reality you're in. Like
Yeah.
TV, I don't believe nothing I see in front of me. It ain't even got to be on TV.
Yeah.
because this whole thing is a simulation, really. And once you start understanding that you are player one in the game, and you start understanding that the levels are
Uh-oh. You cut out.
we
You
back.
yeah,
We
yeah,
back.
yeah.
See how the powers that be
I
work?
know. I'm like,
You see what I'm saying?
soon as you start talking simulated, because that's my kind of talk. That's the kind of stuff I like to hear. Like,
Then you see what I'm saying
yeah,
though?
yeah,
They know, because I'm talking, and now there's interference, real live interference.
yeah.
So yeah, like once you understand you player one in the game, you and the levels are the same, you gonna be able to understand that you're the one, you're manipulating the reality. You're the one. Everything else is just a mirror reflection to you. So you once you realize that, you go through the game with a different level of confidence. Certain things are attacks or distractions. You don't even give it the energy. You hit left instead of going right, because you just don't even you don't have to attack that, because you already know it's a part of the simulation. It's a part of it. So you learn how to move like a Jedi through whatever it is you're going through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, okay. See, you got me thinking now, because I mean, as far as like simulation, I mean, one of my homies. We talk all the time, just us back and forth. We always say, yeah, they gonna come get us, because we gotta keep this down. Like, we we like we actually did an episode of this, and we did a lot of talking. I had to cut him off because I'm like, hey, they gonna come get you. You gotta chill, because you're saying too much right now. Because
Yeah,
he was
yeah,
saying to
yeah,
me, he
yeah.
don't
You
believe
got you
nothing.
got to be careful,
Yeah,
especially on some of these platforms. It's just like, and honestly, like that also was a part of the reason why I didn't, like, at first was hesitant, because I already knew that I would have to temper my mouth. I would have to really, like, not be able to say, like, now I have a different level of fuck it. Like, now it's different now, but I have certain systems put in place now that allow me to be able to hit the channels and not be able to bump against those walls too hard. Because I had one IG account that it already has 2 strikes. Like, I was like, you know what? I have to make a whole new page. I have to create a whole new persona, because
what was just based on
there's no way I'm gonna make it. There's no way I'm gonna make it with 1 strike. Like,
what it was just based on what you were saying on there.
yeah, things that I
Um,
was saying and posting, and, like, not trolling, because I'm not a troll. I wouldn't consider myself a troll, but I definitely am anti. Like, that's just
everything.
how it is. Even in the spiritual community, like, I'm anti. Like, like, for example, there was a situation that was going on in it was online. It wasn't anything that affected me physically in person, but this gentleman who was basically made a video. He basically was saying that, if you didn't wear crystals, or if you didn't wear a head wrap, and if you didn't, like, if you wore weave, and if you didn't do certain things, that you weren't spiritual. And I just felt like that was such a typical, like, if if I was someone trying to come in and assimilate like I was spiritual, I would probably say the same thing too. But real spiritual people know that regardless if I have a head wrap on or not, it's not going to make me any less psychic. It's not going to make me believe any less in what my beliefs are, which ultimately formulate my mind and my spirit. So it floored me, because it's like, okay, now spirituality has a look. Now
Right.
you have to look. It's like, it sounds like church again. Y'all sound like we like I have to go to church again. Okay, well, in order for me to be spiritual, I have to wear a head wrap. Well, I sound like I'm in a Pentecostal church.
Yeah.
Or if I don't wear a skirt, then I'm not a Like, it's just like, so you have to be careful with certain, groups and especially with these new wave spiritual, people coming in now, it's like some people may just see it for profit,
Mm-hmm.
and feel like they have to, create the rules for it now. And it's like the whole point of being spiritual is to not abide by man's rules and to be able to find your own system with God, with yourself. So it's like, it's to the point now where, like, I've had, people ask me to, do live readings in person, and they think they're going to get like Erica Badu, which ain't nothing wrong with Erica Badu. I fucks with her smart, but they think they're going to get an Ankh wearing head wrap. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
coming in with, leather boots, a rock and roll t-shirt,
Yeah.
a Prada bag, like this, and you're like, wow, she's reading me. Like, yes, because when the gift is authentic, it doesn't come with
Look.
right.
Yeah.
Right. And so they want you to look like that so that you can be like everybody else, where I'd rather just be myself and get in where I fit in, because
Yeah.
people who understand and recognize my gift, I'm not going to have to wear an ankh to do that. Y'all are
Yeah.
gonna know me. You're gonna come to me. Y'all see me. So,
Man. Well, let me see. Let me see, because you got you cooking, so I got to make sure I can, get what I need while you cooking.
come on.
Um, Let me see. I want to ask too. When did you realize? Like, I know you told me that since you were young, you knew you had a gift. But when did you realize that, okay, I can help other people?
Hmm. So the first time in this way, in a spiritual way, like because I feel like I've always been like, I was raised to help. I was raised to be a giver. Like my mother, that's just my mother's a giver. That's how I was. I was always raised in that kind of way. To have good bedside manner and to, make sure, you're helpful and, help people out. So I've always kind of had those tendencies alongside with the gifts. So it's like me being that type of person and having those abilities put together put me in circumstances and situations where I had to use my gifts.
Mm.
And so when I was around, I would say like around 15 is when I saw my first like spirit, like actual like entity, like in what would be look like, what would look like something in front of your face. It was very clear to me. So I knew that I had that part of it, but when I turned 19, I had a circumstance where, I actually had to help somebody out of a demonic possession. It wasn't something that I was asked to do. I wasn't requested to do, but I was in the vicinity. And when there's a mission on your spirit in that moment, you don't think, you just act.
Mm-hmm.
And there were certain things that I was not taught to do that I already knew how to do in that moment. I was able to help this individual. So, it was me. There were other people in the room as well, but I definitely remember being used as like the main instrument to conduct the entire process. And that's like coming out of that at age 19, I knew that like there was something a little bit different about me. Like
Yeah.
I knew there was something a little bit different about me, because again, it was almost like a fight or flight response. And so it was like you either were gonna like completely tap out and run away scared, or you were gonna jump into it and be used as an instrument to be able to help this person. And luckily I was able to do that. But coming out of that experience was something that I had to kind of sit on for a while. And it sent
Yeah.
me into a spiritual journey that, I was like, okay, well, maybe I should join a church. Maybe I should, because these are things that you see in deliverance churches, right? So it's like, it's not, because I do originally come from a Christian background. I'm no longer in the faith now, but these are things that you experience when you go to deliverance churches, or when things that you see, in churches. So I felt like maybe I needed to go that route and be a prophetess or be a woman in the cloth and things like that. And so it started a whole journey for me trying to figure out, what can I do with this?
Yeah.
Like,
You knew you
what
had
can, like, I
something.
did something with this. And, of course you go through your red tape in the church. You got to go through this, you got to go through that. You don't have enough years to do this. I'm like, well, if I don't have enough years, then why God had me do everything that I did and I already knew what to do?
Yeah.
Something was already in me that knew how to do that. And so that's when I knew, I was like, okay, now I got to be able to carve away from myself. And so it took all the way up until now for me to kind of build something up where I'm now being able to package something up and give it to people. So can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What's your sign?
I'm a Capricorn.
You're
Uh-oh.
a Capricorn.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So what's that mean? Let's go.
Well, well, I mean, it can mean a lot of things. It can mean a lot of things. You're an earth sign and you're ruled by, it's cardinal earth. So you definitely like to create and initiate ways to become stable,
Yeah.
things regarding business, how to support. You like to be the support and support others. So it's like, it's Capricorn is, you guys like to be the daddy too. That's the other thing. Can be very authoritative
Yeah.
people at times.
Yeah.
Sometimes y'all can be quiet, but I don't know. I've met a lot of talkative Capricorns. There's a planet. I mean, I'm not sure, depending on what year you were born. If you have Uranus or Neptune in Capricorn, which I would have to look at your birth chart for that. But if you have any of those two planets in that sign, it definitely will change the flavor of the person. So
95. What's that? What's that?
95. Okay, so I think you've kind of moved. I think, yeah, I mean, you may have both in there. Yeah, I think you do have Uranus and Neptune in there. So it can make you a little bit like, so Uranus is the planet of like awakening, upheaval, sudden surprise. Like it's a very erratic type of energy. And so in Capricorn is very reserved. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So Capricorn is all about building. And Uranus and Capricorn can make things a little bit sporadic, could make the person a little bit more, I don't want to say creative, but it would make the person that's like maybe a little bit more reserved, not so reserved. Maybe a little bit more independent, maybe a little bit more social, right? Where Capricorn is more like, maybe not. It is social still, but
Hey,
it's a
because
little bit more reserved. If Capricorn's like, if it's not about business, I really don't want to talk about it. If we're not talking about how we can build and associate this to something where I can gain some sort of structure or some sort of status for it, like, I don't really like. That's kind of Capricorn's vibe. It's like the businessman kind of deal.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
because
with Uranus there, it can make it a little bit more liberated.
when you say social, I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
I'm in
Yeah,
the
and it really just depends. Like, again,
okay.
here's why getting your birth chart is important. Because if I wanted to look at, you being a father or you having children, I would look at your fifth house. Your fifth house rules children. Here's where the astrology part kind of comes in.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's a lot.
Your sun sign is what we see from you. It's your ego. It's how you kind of present yourself to people, to everyone else, and it's what people see from you. So you have to think of the sun as like a flashlight or a spotlight. So it's like what we see from you, but that's not necessarily who you are. So who you truly are is your moon sign. So wherever your moon is where I can tell you about your emotional self. Your moon is not only the voice that you speak to yourself with, but it's your mother's voice as well. So the moon also is our emotional body, but it's also our mothers, because our mothers a lot of times were our first teachers, for better or for worse, whether they were in our lives or not. And our mother's voice whether they were there or not, that presence or absence is what sits in the subconscious. So the moon representing the subconscious is what you drive the car with. The car is the sun, but you, the passenger, you're in the car. That's the moon. So the moon is in the car is the sun. Now the car's color, with the color, the paint job and the aesthetics, the wheels, that's the ascendant. So you have the sun, the moon, and the ascendant. The ascendant is not only your life path, but it's also the point of reference of what we can say that person looks like. Okay, so the ascendant says this person is probably tall. They probably have a, polished exterior. This person probably has a good smile. This person is a Libra rising. So all of these characteristics can be found within the rising sign. So this is why getting the birth chart is important, because the birth chart can give you a full snapshot of really who you are.
Okay, so how do I? Okay, so that's how I figure out my sun, moon, and
ascendant, or your rising sign. That's probably an easier way
rising
to remember. Yeah.
I can just look that up, or how do I find this stuff?
You
Because
can
now at this
DM
point,
me and we can do a chart
okay,
reading.
okay,
We'll get a
you got
chart
me
drawn up
interested.
for
I'm
you.
like, you tell me about yourself, the car, and my subconscious. This is the
It's
stuff that I'm
definitely
interested in
layers, yeah.
that I don't know nothing about. That's the thing.
And that's why getting your birth chart it's so important, I feel like, because it really is like, I feel like it's like God's roadmap to who you are. It can tell you who you are, where you're going, where you've been, and all of what you're going to deal with in this lifetime. It doesn't give you the abilities. It just simply shows you the type of energies that you are dealing with. And once you understand that, like, it's a good way to kind of see like where we're lacking, like where we can fix ourselves, where can we heal, where can we start doing this shadow work. Because you'll look into your birth chart and you're like, yeah, that, like, certain things will be correct. You'll relate to them. You'll understand. You're like, yeah, I am good at certain things. But then there may be some things in the birth chart that can be revealed that, can show you like, yeah, this area, I did have issues in this area of life. Why? Right? So the birth chart can actually tell you why. Like,
Man.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it can tell you why. And in my beliefs, if I know the why, then I can get over it. If I can figure out why it's like this,
Yeah.
then I can start to heal it and transcend that. Because ultimately we want to transcend our placement so that we don't create more karma, so that we're back in this same body again next lifetime. If you believe in reincarnation. I do.
Yeah, I think I do. And the reason I say I think I do is because the way I see it is like, I believe in reincarnation, but I don't know how it works as far as like, let's say I was here already, and this is like my whatever number lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what happened in the other one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you? Or you?
Well, I mean, a lot of times what happens with past life energies, not, well, for one, you can see it in the birth chart. The birth chart actually is pretty telling when it comes to your past life. So there are indicators in the birth chart that can show you your past lives, your past life, your immediate past life, and your past lives. So whatever your lives were before that. However, when you start to unlock and decode that birth chart, then you can start meditating on certain things, and certain understandings just come to you, whether by dream or by premonition or by signs and symbols. But a lot of times it's about resonance. And a big part of it too is, a lot of the things that we come into this lifetime with now, especially like within our adolescence, are skills and things that we came from our past lifetime with. So we don't ever leave who we were before. We are always. We always have been. We are infinite. If we are part of source, then we are part of the infinite current and the infinite the akashic records and everything else. So it's just about being able to tap into the inner space. We know about outer space, but traveling that inner space allows you to be able to tap into your own personal akashic records, being able to see what was my past life. Oh, I do resonate with that. I don't know why, but for some reason I resonate with, Celtic culture. Why? I don't know. Then you do your research and you're like, wait a minute. maybe I'm connecting with this particular thing because maybe in a past life, maybe I was in the Celtic region, or maybe I was in Spain, or maybe I was in Africa, wherever you were. But your spirit is always going to tell you what you resonate with. So resonance is always the first indicator. But you take that resonance and you apply it to something like a birth chart, where you study like your fourth house, which tells you all about your roots and your past lives. Then it really starts to open up to you, and you go, you know what? I knew I liked that for a reason. I knew I liked this for a reason because of this. And you're able to kind of see that in the chart. It's
Yeah.
fascinating. It really is.
Yeah, I'm just listening to you, and I'm like, I'm just thinking about things right now in my head, like, yo, like, because I try to explain it, and sometimes I just stop because I just start sounding obsessive. The way I connect with music is like, it's really ridiculous. Like, I mean, listen to it all day nonstop, and my appreciation for it is so wide. Like, I have favorite songs and kind of genres and stuff like that, but there's barely, if like, if it's just the sound of music when I'm hearing it, I'm like, I wish I could do this, but I'm okay with just taking it in. And it's like, but when
So
I
you probably were a musician in a
that's
past life. That's
exactly, and that's
very
what I'm
well
thinking now.
possible.
That's what I'm thinking now, based on what you're saying. I'm like, I probably was a musician in the
Absolutely.
past life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then like again, like once we're able to actually look at your birth chart, like again, like the fifth house rules that too, that as well. Music. So if you have a heavy fifth house influence, which I'm sure if you have 4 kids, you probably do, then the connection to music is probably out of this world. I mean, if you have Neptune in Capricorn, which you probably do, your creativity is completely expanded. And as an earth sign, that's, that means that you can really practicalize what you're here. It's like you love going to concerts, you want to hear it, you want to be in it, it's like,
Yeah,
because
I
as being
feel
an
it.
earth
Like,
sign,
you know
you
what
want
I'm
to
saying?
actualize what you're hearing. So it's
Yeah,
like it really moves that earth energy that's in you. I mean, as it should be your therapy.
yeah,
It
it
should be
is.
your therapy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. A lot of times, like,
Hmm.
it can completely flip my mood. Like, yeah, it's crazy how it gets with me and music. Honestly, I mean,
I would
Friday's my
love to see your chart because I'm pretty sure all the things that you are, that you know yourself to be, are already there. A lot of the times when you get your birth chart read, it's almost just confirming a lot of the stuff that you already know about yourself. And then hopefully if you get a good chart reader, then they're able to kind of unlock some things there that you may not have been aware of, or certain blockages that can help you kind of get through certain things that may be limiting to you now. So
Yeah, hey, it gets, seems like it gets very interesting. 'Cause just hearing you talk about it, I'm like, I'm getting excited, antsy a little bit, like, trying to see what's going
awesome.
on
That's good.
with a person.
See,
Yeah,
this is why I do what I do.
yeah,
Because if I can just bring the information and it can just light someone up to be able to go on that path and journey, then I'm doing my job. This
yeah.
is like
You definitely gonna have me with
so
my head
awesome.
on trying to see what I can find.
Yeah, yeah. And I
Probably,
can direct you to a website for you to use where you
okay.
can go ahead and get a head start on it. You could, yeah, go ahead and look at your own birth chart. So I hate to kind of plug this in, but this is solar maps by solar systems. So they do birth charts on here as well. So this is like a printout of my birth chart. So this is what it would look like once you get it up. You
Yeah.
want to get a chart that looks like the pie. So like a lot of times you'll have like these astrology apps. Like I don't even know because I don't even use them, honestly. They are just, a lot of them are trash in my opinion, but you have these astrology apps that will pull up your chart and it'll literally be like just like what something like what a sign is and what the planet is in there, and like that doesn't really, that is, as an astrologer, doesn't really tell me anything. So what you want to look for is the pie chart. So that'll help, like I can read that and break everything down. So like I was saying, I don't know if you can see that, but as you can see, like each house is mapped out with a sign. And so there's 12 signs and 12 houses. Each house represents an area of life.
Oh,
So each house tells me about every single area of your life, and each sign tells me the flavor of that house.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I could read the house, I could read the sign. And if that house has a planet in it, well, that just changes everything. That changes everything. And that's where the decoding gets real.
Yeah.
We start talking about the planets.
And see, that's why we have people like you that can do this stuff. Because I mean, I'm looking at what you're showing me, but it might as well be.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can understand what you were saying before, but the chart that
It
takes
blew
me.
it out the water, right?
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look. So I mean, great conversation. I'm coming up on my time.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll definitely be reaching out to you after I do some Googling and whatnot myself. See what I can figure out on my own, and then bring it to you to make it make sense to me.
Sounds good.
So yeah, definitely. I appreciate you again taking time out today to get on here with me. So,
And thank you for inviting me.
oh
I
yeah, for
appreciate
sure.
it. It's been fun.
Yeah, definitely. All right, peace out.
All right. Bye.